A gracious good morning, Ruby Universe. This is Professor Tommy Halstead, or known as Coach T or Grandpa Tommy. This is your recap for your first decision in April of 2025 on the Mega Sim. To begin with, I want to really thank very much the validators, our validators, Kirsten, Chloe, and Kaylee, for validating on time on Friday. That's unusual and great that all of the teams did it and did well. So typically what this is I rush through trying to make it 15, 20 minutes, mostly showing you the graphics. So you can go back to YouTube and see these graphics when you need it for your final paper, analysis, etc. To start with, the first decision and the fifth decision, this is the secret, are not as important as 2, 3, and 4 because look, on your first decision, you're flying blind. You have no feedback from customers yet. You have no competitive wins to tack against. So you don't have a lot of data and information when you do that first decision. So I don't expect to see what I saw, which is two teams actually uh, got into positive rosé territory. I'm really excited. That's rarely, if ever, done anywhere. So you guys did fantastic. Um, the we'll jump into standings and all that stuff in a second, but I just wanted to start out by thanking my validators and all of you for getting together and making it work. I understand a lot of us are working adults in this class, and you're busy, and it's an async class, which means you're not used to having to get together with teams, but by the end of it, you'll be really happy. Your teams will be with you probably the rest of your careers because you've become great friends with all your successes. And the point of this isn't winning, but talking in the final, the points are heavily loaded towards the end of the class with your final presentations and your value statements and that. And if even if you crash and burn through the whole thing, but got a little better in some other lines, you learned. And the point is learning. And it's almost impossible to do really well before you kind of get a sense for how do this lost orders over inventory work? How do those famous white lines work? You'll see all that in a minute here. I'll take you through. And a lot of these I'll just silently or just with a couple me silent, yeah, a couple comments on those charts, so you have a chance to screen shoot them. You need to save them. I'm going to be showing competitive information that'll help you a lot in decision two, and just give you a little bit of feedback. Um, the first one we're going to go to is traditionally kind of the standings, but then, when we do business cases, we often ask, okay, how does um, the municipal inspector of meters, what's hanging in the wall behind him? And everybody says, map of the city with little pin dots all over, right? And it's like, yeah, well, what's hanging other than a bunch of books and a little a horse picture and the scales of justice? What's hanging back here behind me is your standings, what happened, Rose, your Rose, your EBIT especially, and what lines did you do good in and what lines do you have to improve? And that's how the finer paper is. You can use all these graphics you see, take a screenshot, use the graphics, and then you'll be able to just ace the final paper. You can work at it as a team also, take parts of it and then submit it as a team. Makes things a lot easier. And these graphics are to help you. So without further ado, let me share my screen here. And here it is, the ranking. Red team took it away, did fantastic. Yellow came in second, and blue team did really good, but crashed and burned in a couple of lines, which we'll see in a second. So the way we do this is that the least number you have, the better off you are because you're number one. Number 8 is fantastic. I mean, 6 is the best you can get. So red team, blue, all these, other than emissions, where they came in last, they completely blew everything else away. Sales revenue, ROS, ARE, employee morale, share value. And this is kind of the results according to, what are the actual numbers. And then we have winners across universes and winner of winners. But this chart just means that the order of the number of places where you are. And yellow team we see did really good in a couple lines, but let's jump over to the main story of what happened in decision one, which is in EBIT. Now I'm going to quickly flash by the car lines here in terms of all four: low cost, family, eco, and image, to give you a little more information. But this is the key graphic right here because it's the EBIT, and we'll see how lost orders over inventory drive it, decisions in the sliders drive it. So your main decisions, the three big categories are, times each car line, are first of all your sliders in engineering and marketing. Everyone knows sliders by now, but there's also a budget tab there. You have to set your prices, take a look at that. And then below that, you'll see the famous white line where there's a black graph that shows how closely you met your customer's needs by each one of the sliders. And if you want to just never crash and burn, just follow the white line as closely as you can, which means don't make big changes in the sliders. Make tiny little ones like you're flying a helicopter. Keep it small corrections. Don't make giant changes either way, and you won't be crashing and burning. Also, be careful. The price is very elastic. Price elasticity of demand is very elastic. So a tiny little change in price can make a huge drop in demand if you're not careful. So you have to be careful of that on the price too, and that's in the budget and the tabs of the sliders, the decision tabs. Then you have the corporate tab, which has all the things, the most important things about the supply side: production capacity. Your budget gives you estimates of the next period. So you have to kind of do some forecasting there. What is demand going to be? And then adjust your sliders also. But every time you adjust the slider, go back to the corporate tab and say, what did it do to CapEx? Because, or even watch on the famous white line, dark blacked out white line chart, because it'll show how that curve moves when you change something up or down from customer demand. So this time you looked at the cheat sheet, watched the videos, and you figured out that, hey, yeah, family needs dealerships, image doesn't. So don't worry about that slider and image, but worry about it there. This, on the other hand, is shows what we always warn people about. Be careful early about low cost and eco. They are future, stars and question marks. Your dog and your cash cow are your family and your image. You can make a lot of money by investing in family and image because they're fast growing, but they're kind of at the end of their maturity. By decision 3, 4, these are starting to come into their own. So you don't want to invest too early. And it says that in many of my videos, and a lot of the cheat sheets. Don't go too far out in low cost and eco earlier. You're going to get slaughtered. This is very unusual. Blue made some major kind of mistakes they can now correct, and then they'll get an A++ on their paper because they can say this is what we corrected. But it's very unusual to dip into negative territory in family. You have to do too much marketing and not enough production, or you have to, really over invest, uh, yet have wrong pricing characteristics to the customer, or especially, as we'll see as we next decision, what the competitors did. So, it's not your fault. You can't know it for sure, but you can know this is a cash cow and this is where you should invest. But you have to make sure you can make enough cars um, to sell. So if you look at the revenue, Blue didn't do that bad, really, and neither did y'all. Everyone did pretty good. But what happened when it comes to Rosé, Blue still stayed negative, where both the other teams hopped into positive territory. So that's a sign that something's going on with your the production side, or your EBIT is so far low and underwater here compared to red and yellow because you're burning a lot of cash with your CapEx and your production side. Here's your loan. Nobody had a 19,000 here, which means you had to take a government loan, which is great. You all did really good. Look how close the leverage is on everybody. These are close. All right, where's an outlier here? These are all really close here. Um, you'll see what happened with with Blue in terms of EBIT as you look more closely at the production side of it. How many cars did they make and what did they spend on the sliders? And we'll see that in just a second when we jump to the teams. So I'm going to quickly fly through these. You can take a screenshot of them. Uh, you won't see giant things of competitors on your regular, but you'll have your own results for your own black and white, follow the white line. But I'm going to show everybody's here. It's a publicly traded company. You can see all the results of everyone else. Low cost. Everyone got killed a little bit in low cost. Family. This is where we like to look at blue. Demand share is low. Here's a key thing, as I said about supply. Look at the plant capacity. Way off. Eco. Eco usually kills us early on. We're trying to get good emissions, but we don't realize that it's just beginning its growth. It's not it's not high in growth, but then look at capacity and especially for next versus last period, what's happening with yellow and blue. You have to be careful of that. Next decision. Image, screenshot time. Everybody did pretty good in image, but when you're doing 124%, um, you can see blue did actually the best of everyone in image, and yet they were right around 80 to 90%. You try to hit around 100. If you're 130 or 140 here, you're over engineering it, and that means you're probably losing orders. If it's orders versus sales when it comes to image and a lot of the other ones, and we'll look at lost orders over inventory in just a second. Okay, we're going to briefly look at the red team. Don't forget to look at your gas price index. It's about $2. If that goes to 3 or 4, be careful in image. That's one you should look at as well as your business production, your PCI. So this landing page isn't just to kind of look at the different measures and how did you do? It's to check that bottom right on what's going on with the indices because that can be really important. So let's hop into our decision and look at our business lines. And this is our famous white line. And you can see that these are sort of where this is where our decision is. This is the white line. And of course, this isn't progressive. These are each of these are the sliders. And so you can kind of see what did you do with each slider. You need to take a screenshot and save these. They go away after this because you need a series of these for your final paper. How close did we come to the white line? We don't have to worry about the perception side of this, which is the lighter line. It's the decision side that's important, and that's the blue line, the sort of darker or lighter blue line, or whatever you want to call it, the glowing sort of light blue line. And we can see where it's over demand or it's or what the customers want or under. And towards the end of the sim, you'll be tracking this almost identically. You'll see what everybody really wants. So this is just something we have to look at and save for the future. This of course is low cost, and so you can see that you're not matching very much in low cost. And red is of course underwater, but and you also have your value change, which you'll be able to see in your own engineering. But mostly we have to look at the lines. This is the family line. Um, how did how did red do in family? Fantastic. They beat everybody out. They made a ton of money. Look at how close this is. There's only a couple things where they were off a bit. Let's look at eco, and you can see which sliders you're off in. This is eco, and everybody crashes and burns in eco. Nobody can get it right the first time. There's a lot of wobbly stuff where it's up and down and up and down. So you get absolutely killed trying to match what the customers want in the value chain. And then image, everybody did really good. And there's a dip here in terms of robustness that image cares about, but there's other things that happened in inventory that you'll see where red did not as well as blue, but did quite well in image. So these are ways you can just take pictures of that, especially for the final paper, so you have it. Let's take a look at blue. You'll see everything goes red, blue, yellow. This has nothing to do with preference or anything like that. It's just the way the sim works. Same thing, you can look at the indices, but we quickly jump over to decisions. Here's our business lines. Low cost. See, it's not too bad. Small changes in the sliders. I like to see that. Family. Family is weird. This is the only place blue kind of got killed because it's almost straight line, almost made no changes in the sliders. They just kept it like that. Whereas you're going to see demand does have differences they want in performance versus technology versus novelty. Let's see, eco. They're just for screenshots for you for the future. We'll see these, how they change more subtly in decision two. It should be image, right? Yeah. Who did quite well in image. You can start a flywheel and be away from demand, but be driving the market with a flywheel. You, matching this completely is only if you're in trouble. You can find other ways to bring that demand up to you too with leading rather than lagging indicators. So let's go to yellow. And then we'll look at lost order over inventory and we should be done. Good job by yellow and low cost. Although low cost itself is tough to make money on in the first couple of decisions. Yellow did really well in family. In general, yellow is very tight. Eco, almost again, no changes, not a lot of, but there is a lot of investment when you look at CapEx. Image yellow did real well. So those are our white lines. You can always default to them if you have some issues. Then we have orders, sales, revenue, and we've already seen EBIT. Right, we'll look at low costs. We'll look at lost orders over inventory. Now, this is an absolutely key metric for the entire sim. The more you look at it, the more you'll see how amazing it is. Lost orders over inventory, which is that's like a ratio. Zero is the index. If you're straight line across here, you have no inventory, no lost orders. Every demand order you get, you're supplying it with a sale. Sales are deliveries in the U.S. accounting system. So you look at orders and sales. If you're building inventory, you're in trouble, and this is in low cost. And that means that there's a lot of production going on, but not a lot of marketing, not the right kind of marketing in image for blue. Lost orders is red's problem here, and because they had a problem in low cost also. Everybody did, but yellow was kind of closest to being zeroed out in terms of matching supply and demand. The way you do that is your plant capacity. You add back depreciation, figure out how many vehicles you're going to sell in each line, and make that many. If you do a huge amount of marketing and you don't get deliveries, you're going to have a ton of lost orders down here. If you do build a whole bunch of production, but you don't have the right marketing, you're going to have a whole bunch of inventory. So this is a direct predictor of EBIT and also kind of a pretty good predictor when you're closer here to how well you did. So yellow did really well in matching this in low cost. I'm just going to show the other ones. Family, you remember blue got a little bit killed in family, and I said we got to look at LOI. Huge amount of inventory being built. So they're producing, but not marketing. And it's okay to shut down a plant and not marketing something, but not in family where you need to make. If so, they're building inventory, but they're not marketing the family correctly. If you wanted to shut down low cost and equal plenty for the first decision or two, you got to invest in depreciation, but you don't do a lot of marketing, a lot of production. You still stay close to zero, even when you sort of shut down a plant. Now, yellow here did absolutely fantastic, and red didn't do too bad. Look how close they both are to the zero line. that's zero there. So there's a little bit of inventory, a little bit of lost orders, but they're both really close to that, to the zero line. I mean, red is dead on. So red actually in family actually killed it. They led everybody and had a complete balance because your zero's down here. So eco, where everybody gets killed again too. Huge amount of inventory there, although Blue did a little better job of matching, but nobody even got near the zero line. So Eco really killed everybody. Image everybody did quite well in. So if you kind of look at the zero line here, red especially did good. Blue built some inventory, but did a really good job in terms of revenue and other indicators. And yellow, who came in second, had a lot of lost orders in image, which they still made money, but they were lowest of the three just because they were they had lots more orders than they had production in order to cover it. So that's absolutely the key slides and the key indicators. Now there's a lot more in terms of all the lines. Let's go back to low cost in, revenue, sales, whatever, and but those you can see in just like you had before. Why do you get orders and what happens to the cost? This shows effective engineering, effective marketing, and how the teams, who engineered and who marketed. And that's the same in that's family. So you can see the marketing versus the price, what's driving those orders, eco-friendly, price, effective marketing, and image. See, everybody's really close in engineering and everybody did really well. This is co-opetition here. Let's see, what's driving cost for our rosé? Why cost? We've already seen revenue and EBIT, so let's get back to low cost. This is why cost and low cost. What is driving cost? The learning curve, the capacity of the facility, the effective engineering, or your unit cost. Unit cost is really important, and it often kind of reflects the trends of where you're going. Here's family. And eco-friendly. Here's our eco-friendly line and our shots. If everybody's superimposed on one line, it means they didn't change it from the last decision usually. Image. It was really close in engineering. And there's no learning curve yet. So let's stop sharing here. That's kind of it for the recap in terms of looking at all those slides you're using in your final paper. Also, text me for specifics on what you may want to look at going forward, but look a lot at what your competitors are doing, because this is a chance to see what were their decisions, what did we do different, and why is the market going a certain way. I didn't get into the budget side and look at the pricing. That's something that I don't usually give away. It's something you kind of figure out by what's going on in terms of demand. But other than that, I look forward to our next decision. I make this over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, because you're kind enough to validate on Friday. So Monday, you'll have a whole bunch of more videos on what do I do between the first and second decision. Now that I know about competitor stuff, what do I do, and all that good stuff. So basically, that's it for this recap. It's not real long because we didn't have any competitor feedback yet when we made our decision, let alone know what the customers really wanted. Now you can see a lot more matching which of those sliders they like and are looking for. So I bid you adieu, and we'll see you in the universe. And text me, email me, post. See you there.